All right, quick video about the placement of these props for the alignment class. We have so I want to show you the spinal strip and the roll for the upper back, which I use this felt pad, but you could also just use a towel. And in lieu of the spinal strip, until we figure out how to get you one, or if you ever find yourself without one and you really are craving the opening, just look like a hand towel. And then I also want to grab just a cloth strap so that you can see, and a cloth strap could be also like, here we go. As you can tell, this video is being prepared with zero preparation. This is purely spontaneous. So these are things that you will need for the practice when we Zoom together. So the first one I want to show you is the spinal strip. Most often we take this opening with the strap folded, one end of it about as long as your hand, the length of your hand, from the heel of your hand to your fingertips. So I would guess, I mean, if I were really going to take like a measuring tape, there's probably like an extra inch, but it's about like an 8-inch or so fold. And then I'm going to place the folded piece and take that short folded part, turn it so it's facing me. I'm going to get that arm out of the way, and then place it between the shoulder blades. So the end of the short folded piece is at the bottom of my neck. Then I'm going to hold it tight between my hands while I recline down on it. And sometimes when you fall back, it gets crooked or it comes apart, or your body slides or your hand moves up, and so the short fold is below your neck. And if that's the case, you need to somehow scoot further up so that the end of the short folded piece is at the bottom of your neck. So once you're on here, and you can see like my whole neck is free. I can slide my hand behind my neck and it doesn't bump into any of the short fold. If you also reach back with your hands and feel from the base of your skull down your spine, down those 7 cervical vertebrae, you get to the 7th one and it's the biggest bump back there. And it's at that biggest bump where you'll feel either the end of the short fold or just a little bit below that biggest bump, the end of the short fold will be there. And the folded part of that short fold is approximately at the bottom of your shoulder blades. And that is the placement of that one. So if you are going to use a substitute, you would take a hand towel, fold it in half the long way, and then fold it in half again the long way, and then probably fold it in thirds from here so that you've got about 8 or so inches, and then about 8 or so inches. And then you can take that folded towel, you know it's going to squish a fair bit, but you can lay yourself down on it, approximating, when you start to recline back, that the one end of it is at the bottom of your shoulder blades, the other end of it is about at C7. So again, then I'm laying, my head's on the ground now, but my whole neck is free, it's not touching the towel, and if I reach back there and touch, I can feel C7 right about at the folded part, one end of the folded part of this towel. And it's from here that we can take all the different variations that we'll move through on this prop. I know I didn't preface this video by saying that everything we do on these props is softening into pressure in order to release tension. So the next opening that we'll take, if we just are moving down the spine from the upper thoracic to the mid-thoracic, is on an upper back roll. And I'll show you first with this felt pad that I use. It's basically like 2 layers of cotton batting, like the kind that not as thin as you would use to make a quilt, but like the thickness you would use to like wrap around the foam of the seat of a chair or something. It's like quite thick. It's about an inch thick of this batting. So I roll it up from the longer end and nice and snug. And then I hold it about or set it rather, about a foot behind my pelvis. And then, because these felt pads tend to come unrolling if you don't hold them together, I place my elbows on it and then slide them wider as I'm reclining down onto it. And then rocking back and forth a little bit is going to give me a chance to feel that the bottom edge of my shoulder blades are in contact with the roll. Then I'm going to interlace my fingers at the base of my skull and hold my head. We usually start in this position when we start on this upper back roll. And what we're trying to do, like I said before, is soften into this pressure, but acknowledging that the weight of the head is a load of weight that we can apply to the middle of the chest and to the upper back. So instead of just dropping the head down here, we hold it up above the level, or about at or above the level of the roll, so that we can use this weight. The pelvis, the legs are just anchors at the other end. And as anchors, they, like your sacrum on the ground, you can, as you soften into the pressure of this prop, you can imagine, sometimes actually even feel, some length up the front of the spine, or up the length of the spine, and then some softening into that length, some kind of occupying of that space and allowing the middle of the upper back to soften into the pressure of the prop. And notice that I'm holding my head with my fingers interlaced. My elbows are in close to the sides of the head. And this position of the arms angles the inner edges of my shoulder blades toward the ground, which is nice. Two things. One, it makes it way easier to support the weight of your head. And two, the inner edges of the shoulder blades are a great landmark for the feeling and the act of extending the spine and draping it over the shape of this prop. And so we just, we breathe here and we work our way into as much extension and as much of a drape as we can. I'm going to roll off now so that I can keep explaining. I don't want this video to last too long. But that's an intro to the placement of that prop. And so about at the level of the bottom of the shoulder blades is where that mid-thoracic opening of the roll goes. About at the bottom of the shoulder blades is where the folded part of the spinal strip goes. And this is because we're sort of talking about the middle of the thoracic spine, because the top of it meets with C7 right here. The bottom of your thoracic spine meets with L1 down here. And this is also where your lowest ribs connect to your spine. So it's midway. The bottom of your shoulder blades is about midway between those 2 points. And those 2 points are the most flexible part of your spine. So when we are working, and by work, I mean applying pressure to the middle or the halfway point between those two most flexible areas, we have an opportunity to release a bunch of pressure. It's where we kind of load pressure when we default movement into these most flexible hinges in our spines. The space in between them starts to get tight. So an alternate for that felt pad, as you can probably imagine, you can take like a big bath towel or a beach towel and fold it. Maybe I would take this one maybe and fold it like in thirds this way. So it's about this wide, and then roll it up from the shorter end. So I end up with a prop. Not as big as that felt pad, but this might be really good for starters to recline. Same thing, same position. Get the bottom edge of the shoulder blades in contact with the roll and support my head above it and soften into that pressure. The last opening is for the low back. And we would put a roll similar to this. I might make this roll a little bit bigger because those lumbar vertebrae are thicker and bigger. So I might take, let me just get realistic. If you don't have a spinal strip, but you've got, a folded towel or something, I'm even going to take like this yoga mat. And so I don't even need the towel anymore if I'm going to use this yoga mat. It's rolled up pretty snug, and I'm gonna just unroll it just enough so that it seems a little bit bigger than that upper back roll was. It's got not quite as much give as a rolled up towel, but still got some. You don't want to use a foam roller for these openings because we need to have a little bit of squish. So for this low back roll, you're going to hold it right up against the back of the pelvis. And I want you to notice as I recline back, how close my feet are to the bottom of my butt. And that I'm holding the roll right up against the back of the pelvis so that when I recline, the weight of my pelvis is no longer on the ground, or even if the cheeks of my butt are like grazing the ground, the weight of it is no longer on the ground. It's on the roll. And I'm just going to walk my elbows out to the sides so I feel kind of comfy and safe as I recline all the way down. And now there's a bit of a shadow, but you can maybe imagine, and if you're trying this out, you can feel that the support for the weight of your pelvis is no longer the ground. It's the roll. And so this is not too different from using, well, actually it's quite a bit different from using a lumbar support cushion when you're sitting in a chair. The only difference is that you're actually sitting in a chair. And so you're sitting on your pelvis rather than in this position on this roll, using the weight of your pelvis to actually traction length into your low back. So it's on that roll that you'll use the cloth strap if you don't have a spinal strip, because we'll do some work with the legs up in the air and moving in and out of extension in the low back with some space in the back line of the legs. And to keep this under 12 minutes, I'm going to stop now. I think I said enough to make it make sense, and I hope that you can join us soon.